Another mind-numbing shift at Outpost Epsilon 12 was drawing to a close, and junior radar technician Lyra Nexus was fighting to keep her 4 eyes open. The constant hum of scanning equipment filled the dimly lit monitoring station, its soft blue glow reflecting off her iridescent scales. She lazily tapped her talons against the console, watching the same empty sectors scroll past like they had for the past 3 cycles. Ping complete. Sector 47B clear, she mumbled into her report log, suppressing a yawn that showed off her impressive array of teeth. Beginning scan of Sector 47C. The scanner hummed its familiar tune, and Lyra reached for her 3rd cup of stimulant brew. Just 2 more sectors, and she could crawl back to her sleeping pod. Maybe even catch up on the latest episodes of As the Nebula Turns Before. Beep, 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 beep. Lyra nearly dropped her cup as the scanner erupted in a series of urgent alerts. Her inner eyelids snapped open as she stared at the readout. That couldn't be right. She ran a diagnostic check, then another, her heart rates climbing with each confirmation. No way, she whispered, her scales shifting to a pale yellow of excitement. No way, no way, no way. The signal was unlike anything in their database, but it matched perfectly with the theoretical signatures they were told to watch for, signatures that hadn't been seen in over 300 years. Her talons flew across the console, triple-checking everything before she hit the communication button. Commander Azoth, please respond immediately. A gruff voice crackled through the speaker. This better be good, Technician Nexus. I was in the middle of my regeneration cycle. Sir, I have an anomalous signal in Sector 47C. It matches the theoretical patterns for human technology. The silence that followed lasted so long that Lyra wondered if the communication had failed. Technician Nexus Commander Azoth's voice was deadly serious now. Are you absolutely certain? Yes, sir. I've run 5 separate diagnostics. The energy signature matches all the parameters in the ancient contact protocol database. It's them, sir. It has to be. Another pause. Do not take any action. Do not attempt communication. Do not even breathe too hard in that signal's direction. I'm on my way. Lyra's scales rippled with barely contained excitement as she watched the blip on her screen. Humans. After centuries of speculation, after all the stories and myths, after being relegated to little more than legends by modern society, they were real. The door to the monitoring station hissed open, and Commander Azoth burst in, still fastening his uniform. His massive form loomed over her station, all 6 of his eyes fixed on the display. His facial tentacles twitched as he studied the readout. Permission to speak freely, Sir, Lyra asked, practically vibrating in her seat. Granted, but make it quick. Do you think they know we're here? Do you think they remember us? The archives say they were incredible engineers, that they could adapt to almost any environment, Technician Nexus Commander Azoth cut her off, though there was an unusual note of excitement in his normally stern voice. What I think is that we're about to make history, or possibly repeat it, depending on how you look at it. He straightened up, his ceremonial armor glinting in the console lights. Send the alert to Central Command, priority level maximum. Then begin passive data collection only. Let's try not to spook them this time around. Lyra nodded eagerly, but couldn't help adding, the archives say the last time we encountered them, they were riding fusion-powered death machines while playing something called rock and roll at full volume. Commander Azoth's facial tentacles actually curled into what might have been a smile. Well, Technician Nexus, let's hope they've maintained their flair for dramatic entrances. Now, send that alert before I remember I'm supposed to be a grumpy old commander who doesn't believe in myths and legends. While Commander Azoth coordinated with Central Command, Lyra pulled up her personal database on her secondary screen. She'd been collecting stories about humans since she was a hatchling, much to her parent unit's concern. The obsession started when her education pod covered the brief period of human contact in galactic history. The official records were sparse. 300 years ago, a human vessel appeared at the edge of known space. The ship's technology was primitive by galactic standards, burning fusion fuel like savages, yet somehow they'd achieved faster than light travel through what they called breaking physics over their knee and making it cry uncle. That first contact lasted exactly 6 standard days. In that time, the humans managed to accidentally start a revolution on Proxima Station by introducing the concept of weekend breaks. Traded their ship's coffee maker for a small moon which they named Good Deal, and somehow convinced the hive mind of Beta Centauri that knock 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 jokes were the highest form of art. Then they vanished. No warning, no explanation, just gone. The next 3 centuries saw occasional rumors of human sightings. A trading post claiming humans had shown up offering something called pizza in exchange for antimatter. A religious movement based on human memes. A popular dance craze supposedly taught by human visitors that resulted in numerous injuries because most species weren't meant to do the worm. Lyra glanced at her prized collection of supposedly human artifacts, hidden beneath her workstation. There was a metallic disc labeled "Never Gonna Give You Up Extended Dance Mix," a curved piece of transparent material that might be a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. And her favorite, a flat rectangle with mysterious markings that some experts claimed was a battery warranty card. She clicked through more historical records. Most modern scholars dismissed humans as an elaborate hoax or a mass hallucination. How could a species that hadn't even mastered genetic engineering build ships that ran on controlled explosions? How could beings with only 2 eyes and no natural armor survive space travel? And the most debated question of all, why would any advanced species choose to call their homeworld dirt? But Lyra believed. The stories were too consistent, too specific to be made up. Like the account of the human who taught the silicon dragons of Tau Ceti how to play something called air guitar, or the legendary incident where a human fixed a quantum drive with something they called duct tape and percussive maintenance. Her screen pinged with an incoming message from her friend Nessa Parker at Central Archives. Lyra. Is it true? The emergency alerts are lighting up like a quantum cascade. Tell me everything. Lyra's talons danced across the keyboard. It's real, Nessa. The signal matches every parameter. They're back. By the first egg. Your collection might actually be worth something now. Except that warranty card, I still think that's just a piece of trash that fell off a cargo hauler. You're just jealous because I outbid you for it, Lyra typed back, grinning. But seriously, what do you think they'll be like? The old records say they were incredibly adaptable, that they could eat almost anything by adding something called hot sauce, that they could survive in any environment by complaining about the weather. Don't get too excited, Nessa replied. Remember what happened to Professor Zax when he claimed to have found a human vending machine? He had to resign and now gives tours at the Museum of Debunked Myths. This is different. Commander Azoth himself confirmed the readings. They're really coming, Nessa. Everything's about to change. A priority alert flashed on her main screen. The signal was getting stronger. Lyra quickly closed her personal database and straightened her posture. This was her chance to be part of history, to prove that all those years of collecting stories and artifacts weren't just a waste of time. She just hoped the humans would live up to their legendary reputation. And maybe, just maybe, they could explain what a warranty was supposed to be. Outpost Epsilon 12 transformed from a sleepy monitoring station into a whirlwind of activity within hours. Ships began arriving from every corner of the sector, their crews barely waiting for docking permission before rushing aboard. The station's corridors, usually empty enough to play echo ball in, now teemed with representatives from a dozen different species. Watch your step. Those tentacles don't grow back, Lyra shouted as she navigated through the crowd, carrying a stack of ancient protocol manuals. A quantum monk from the Silicon Monasteries floated past, its crystalline form humming with calculations about human probability matrices. A group of mercurial diplomats argued nearby, their liquid metal bodies rippling with excitement. Technician Nexus Commander Azoth's voice boomed over the commotion. Report to Conference Chamber 7 immediately. Lyra found the chamber packed with military officials, scientists, and bureaucrats. A holographic display of the approaching human ship rotated above the central table. Admiral Blake of the Defense Fleet was mid-rant. We need to show strength. The last time humans appeared, they convinced an entire space station to take something called a casual Friday. Do you know how many productivity regulations that violated? With all due respect, Admiral Dr. Nova interrupted, her tentacles waving dismissively. The scientific opportunity here is unprecedented. We need to approach with sensors at maximum. Think of the data. The data bureaucrat First Class Thax Marwell's eye stalks quivered with indignation. What about the paperwork? The last human visit generated 17,000 forms, and they only stayed for 6 days. We're still finding permits that need to be filed. Commander Azoth cleared his throat, the sound like gravel in a garbage disposal. If we could focus? Technician Nexus, your report. Lyra stepped forward, trying not to drop her manuals. Yes, sir. The signal remains consistent with historical records. The ship appears to be using the same primitive fusion drive technology documented in previous encounters. They're maintaining a steady course toward the station at sublight speed. Have they responded to any communications? Asked Dr. Nova. Not exactly, Lyra admitted, but we're picking up something broadcasting from their ship. It appears to be similar to historical recordings of something called music. She activated an audio channel. A rhythmic beat filled the chamber, accompanied by words that made several translator units smoke. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. By the sacred algorithms, whispered the quantum monk. They're still using Rick Astley as a first contact protocol. The legends were true. Turn that off, Admiral Blake demanded. It's making my troops want to dance. Lyra quickly killed the audio. There's more, sir. We've detected unusual energy readings from their ship. They appear to be making hot beverages. Coffee, Thax Marwell whispered, eye stalks going pale. The report said they can't function without it. Quick, someone check if we still have those trade agreements from last time. We can't let them trade a coffee maker for another moon. A new alert flashed on Lyra's screen. Sir, they're launching some kind of object toward the station. The chamber erupted in chaos. Admiral Blake ordered battle stations. Dr. Nova demanded sensor readings. The quantum monk began calculating last rites, just in case. Wait, Lyra shouted, surprising herself. It's a physical message container. Old technology, like in the first contact records. Can you read it, Commander Azoth asked. Lyra zoomed in on the spinning object. It appears to be a piece of material called cardboard with markings on it. The translation reads, sorry we're late. Traffic was terrible. Got any pizza? Silence fell over the chamber. Then Bureaucrat Marwell fainted, all his eye stalks hitting the floor with a wet thump. Technician Nexus Commander Azoth said slowly, given your extensive knowledge of human lore, I'm appointing you as our primary communication officer for this encounter. Lyra squeaked. But sir, the regulations clearly state. The regulations also state that we shouldn't trade moons for kitchen appliances, but here we are. Besides, you're the only one who might understand their references to this pizza thing. What should I say to them? The commander's facial tentacles twisted into what might have been a smile. Well, according to your beloved historical records, the traditional response would be, what was it? Ah, yes, send memes. And so, as military vessels took up defensive positions, scientists calibrated their instruments, and bureaucrats frantically searched for the proper forms, Lyra Nexus prepared to make first contact with the legendary humans. She just hoped they wouldn't ask her to explain her collection of warranty cards. The human ship looked like it had been assembled by throwing spare parts at each other until they stuck. Its hull was patched with at least 3 different materials, and something that looked suspiciously like a bumper sticker declared my other ride as a quantum anomaly. As it approached the station, it performed a series of maneuvers that made Admiral Blake turn several interesting shades of purple. Are they parallel parking? Dr. Nova asked, watching the ship's bizarre approach pattern. Impossible, Admiral Blake growled. No ship that size can dock without guidance systems. They'll crash, and he trailed off as the human vessel executed a perfect docking maneuver, accompanied by what sensors indicated was loud music about parking like a boss. Lyra sat at her newly assigned communications station, surrounded by historical records and translation matrices. The humans had sent 3 more messages during their approach: a request for local takeout options, a complaint about space highway construction, and what appeared to be a social media update about their journey. Attention human vessel, she broadcast, following the ancient protocols. Welcome to Outpost Epsilon 12. We are honored by your return to known space. The response came back immediately, thanks. Sorry about ghosting everyone for 300 years. We got really into this new video game and lost track of time. Bureaucrat Marwell, who had just regained consciousness, promptly fainted again. What Commander Azoth asked, all 6 eyes blinking in confusion. It's a joke, Sir Lyra explained. The records show humans often use humor to diffuse tense situations. The human ship's airlock cycle began, causing every security officer to reach for their weapons. The door opened with a hiss, revealing. Is that a pizza delivery uniform? Lyra whispered, comparing the figure to her historical records. Indeed, the first human to make contact in 3 centuries wore what appeared to be a red and blue uniform with Galactic Pizza Express. Our delivery times are relatively special emblazoned across it. She carried what several scanners identified as an insulated food container. Hey everyone, the human called out cheerfully. I'm Amanda Thompson, but you can call me Mandy. Who ordered the extra large with quantum toppings? The quantum monk's crystalline form vibrated with excitement. The prophecies spoke of this. Before anyone could stop her, Lyra hit her communications button. No one ordered pizza. We just detected your ship and... Wait, seriously? Mandy looked genuinely surprised. You mean I drove all this way and it's not even a delivery? Man, these prank calls are getting out of hand. Admiral Blake stepped forward, attempting to look imposing. Human, you will explain your presence in our space immediately. Oh right, the official stuff, Mandy sighed, setting down her delivery bag. Look, here's the deal. Remember that moon we traded the coffee maker for? Everyone nodded. Turns out its orbit is degrading. We did some calculations and figured it'll crash into something important in about 6 months. We tried fixing it ourselves, but apparently duct tape doesn't work on orbital mechanics. Who knew? Dr. Nova's tentacles curled in horror. You mean Good Deal Moon is going to crash? The paperwork alone would take decades. That's why we came back, Mandy explained, pulling out what looked like a tablet made from salvaged parts. Also, we kind of miss you guys. Do you know how hard it is to find good conversation partners when you're the only species that gets sarcasm? Lyra couldn't contain herself any longer. She rushed forward, ignoring Commander Azoth's warnings. Is it true? About the fusion drives and the physics breaking and the hot sauce? Mandy grinned. Oh man, you're a fan. Wait till you see our new engines. We figured out how to power them with pure spite and internet arguments. Way more efficient than fusion. But that's impossible, Dr. Nova protested. You can't power engines with abstract concepts. That's what the laws of physics said too. But we showed them some cat videos and they agreed to look the other way. The room erupted in a mixture of outrage, confusion, and existential crisis. The quantum monk began recalculating the nature of reality. Admiral Blake ordered his ships to scan for weapons powered by human stubbornness. Bureaucrat Marwell remained unconscious, which was probably for the best. Also, Mandy added, opening her delivery bag, we brought pizza. Real pizza, not that replicated stuff. And coffee. We figure we're going to need it for all the meetings about fixing the moon. The smell wafting from the bag made Lyra's scales change color rapidly. Is that pepperoni? With extra cheese. Want a slice? Fair warning though, once you try it, other food just won't be the same. We kind of ruined several species' cuisine by introducing them to garlic bread. As Lyra reached for a slice of what she would later describe as proof that humans have mastered molecular gastronomy through sheer deliciousness, she realized something. The legends hadn't done humans justice. They weren't just myth makers or physics breakers or coffee traders. They were something far more impressive. They were impossible, improbable, and absolutely brilliant at making an entrance. Also, they apparently still hadn't filed any of the paperwork from their last visit. As it turned out, the falling moon was only part of the story. Over pizza and coffee that made several species temporarily achieve enlightenment, Mandy revealed the full scope of the situation. So here's the thing, she said, watching in amusement as Lyra devoured her 4th slice. We didn't exactly trade that coffee maker for the moon just because we thought it was a good deal. We kind of needed somewhere to store stuff. Store what Commander Azoth asked, trying and failing to resist reaching for another piece of pizza. Educational materials, Mandy replied with a suspiciously innocent smile. See, we figured out pretty quick that the galactic community wasn't quite ready for everything humanity had to offer. The coffee maker incident proved that. So we decided to wait until you all developed certain immunities. Immunities to what Admiral Blake demanded, his voice somewhat undermined by the string of melted cheese hanging from his mandible. Memes mostly. Plus social media, reality TV, and competitive cooking shows. We've been monitoring your cultural development through that moon's sensors. That's why we called it good deal. It was a good deal for everyone. You got time to develop gradually. And we got to prepare for proper integration. The revelation hit the room like a quantum hiccup. Dr. Nova dropped her scientific instruments. The quantum monk began laughing in binary. Bureaucrat Marwell, who had finally regained consciousness, muttered something about needing a stronger fainting couch. You mean, Lyra said slowly, her scales shifting to the color of dawning comprehension. Humans have been secretly guiding our cultural evolution for 3 centuries. Guiding is a strong word, Mandy hedged, more like leaving bread crumbs. Or pizza crumbs, in this case. That Rick Astley music we broadcast? Testing your resistance to earworms. Those warranty cards you've been collecting. Social experiment about bureaucracy. By the way, great collection, very vintage. Lyra's jaw dropped. You knew about my collection. Oh honey, we've known about every conspiracy theorist, true believer, and human enthusiast in the galaxy. Why do you think that McDonald's Happy Meal toy showed up at exactly the right auction for you to buy it? The implications were staggering. Every supposedly crazy professor who claimed human contact, every unexplained cultural shift, every mysterious technological leap forward, all part of a carefully orchestrated plan to prepare galactic society for full integration with humanity. But why, Commander Azoth asked? Why go to all this trouble? Mandy's grin widened. Because it's hilarious. But also because we learned from our mistakes. Last time we showed up, we accidentally caused 3 revolutions just by introducing the concept of weekend brunches. This time we wanted to make sure everyone was ready for the full human experience. And are we ready? Lyra asked eagerly. Well, you're eating pizza with hot sauce while discussing conspiracy theories, so yeah, I'd say you're getting there. Plus, your meme game has really improved lately. Admiral Blake slammed his fist on the table. This is outrageous. You can't just manipulate an entire galaxy's development for your own amusement. Actually, Bureaucrat Marwell spoke up unexpectedly, according to subsection 7 of the original contact treaties, which they never actually signed, but we kept filing anyway. They totally can. It falls under the clause about cultural exchange programs right next to the coffee maker moon exchange documentation. See, Mandy beamed. You're even getting better at using bureaucracy creatively. That's definitely our influence. The next few hours were chaos. Admiral Blake tried to order his fleet to combat stations, but discovered his crews were too busy downloading something called cat videos from the human ship's broadcasts. Dr. Nova had to be physically restrained from trying to dissect the pizza to study its molecular structure. The quantum monk declared that reality was actually a simulation, but a really entertaining one. Through it all, Lyra sat with Mandy, asking questions and taking notes. She learned about human history, their inexplicable ability to form emotional attachments to cleaning robots, and their ongoing mission to spread what they called the chaos of fun throughout the galaxy. So what happens now? Lyra asked finally. Well, first we actually do need to fix that moon before it crashes. Despite what some people think, we didn't plan that part. Turns out even humans can't predict orbital mechanics perfectly. After that, Mandy shrugged. How do you feel about becoming our official cultural exchange officer? Me? Why not? You already understand humans better than most. Plus, someone needs to explain to your people why they suddenly have an overwhelming desire to put tiny hats on their pets. As if on cue, Commander Azoth's personal communication device chimed. He looked at it and sighed. My life mate just sent me something called a funny cat video, and now she wants to get a pet. This is your fault, isn't it? Actually, Mandy said with a wink. That one was all Lyra. She's been secretly running a pet fashion blog for the past year. Very influential. We're thinking of making her our Minister of Intergalactic Pet Fashion. Everyone turned to stare at Lyra, whose scales turned a bright pink of embarrassment. I can explain, she started, but was interrupted by an urgent alert from the station's sensors. Commander, one of the technicians called out. We're detecting multiple ships entering the sector. It appears to be the Galactic food delivery service fleet. Mandy checked her tablet and groaned. Oh right, about that. Remember when I said this wasn't actually a pizza delivery? I might have forgotten to cancel the actual order I placed 300 years ago. Hope everyone's still hungry. And that was how Outpost Epsilon 12 ended up hosting the biggest pizza party in Galactic history, complete with karaoke, pet fashion shows, and the first ever intergalactic meme competition. The humans were back, and the galaxy would never be the same. Though they still hadn't filed any of that paperwork. 1 year later, Lyra Nexus, official Minister of Human Galactic Cultural Integration and unofficial Queen of Pet Fashion, sat in her new office aboard the renamed station Good Times, formerly Outpost Epsilon 12. Her desk was covered with reports about the ongoing changes in galactic society, each one more entertaining than the last. The Silicon Dragons of Tau Ceti had started a rock band. The hive mind of Beta Centauri was now hosting weekly meme contests. Even the notoriously serious quantum monks had begun ending their mathematical proofs with LOLL. She picked up her daily briefing tablet, scrolling through the updates. Emergency alert, bureaucrat first class Thax Marwell has begun adding jokes to official forms. Productivity has increased by 47%. No one knows how to handle this. Breaking news, Admiral Blake's flagship crew has decorated their quantum torpedoes with googly eyes. They claim it improves accuracy because the torpedoes can see where they're going now. Cultural update, Dr. Nova's latest research paper includes 17 references to cat videos as legitimate scientific phenomena. Lyra smiled, her scales shifting through happy colors as she remembered the chaos of that first day. The humans had known exactly what they were doing all along. Their apparent randomness, their seeming primitive technology, even their pizza delivery disguise, all part of their master plan to make the galaxy a more interesting place. Her communicator buzzed. It was Mandy. Hey boss, Lyra answered. After the humans had appointed her as their cultural ambassador, Mandy had become her direct supervisor, mentor and partner in galactic mischief. Quick question, Mandy said. Do you remember where we stored that giant collection of rubber ducks? The ones from Operation Quack Attack. They're in Storage Bay 7, right next to the emergency supply of novelty t-shirts. Why? Well, you know how the Centaurian Council is having their annual meeting next week? I was thinking. Say no more, Lyra grinned. I'll start the paperwork. The completely legitimate, totally serious paperwork that definitely won't involve any rubber ducks appearing mysteriously in the council chambers. This is why you got the job, Mandy laughed. Oh, and don't forget your pet fashion blog just hit 1 trillion subscribers. The hive mind really loves those tiny boaties you designed for their worker drones. As she ended the call, Lyra looked out her office window at the newly stabilized Good Deal Moon, now sporting a massive LED billboard that alternated between displaying memes and pizza delivery advertisements. The humans had fixed its orbit using a combination of advanced physics, social media polls, and what they called the power of friendship, and also massive gravitational manipulators. Her original collection of human artifacts sat in a display case on her wall. Now properly labeled as Phase 1 Cultural Integration Tools, the warranty card had turned out to be exactly what she thought it was, a piece of trash that fell off a cargo hauler. But the humans had been so impressed by her dedication to their conspiracy that they made warranty cards an official form of galactic currency, just for fun. A notification popped up on her screen, reminder tomorrow's schedule. 0900 meeting with Meme Advisory Board. 1,100 pet fashion show at the Diplomatic Corps. 1,300 teaching Admiral Blake's crew about high fives. 1,500 emergency response to whatever chaos the humans cause next. Lyra approved the schedule with a happy chirp. The galaxy was finally learning the most important lesson humanity had to teach. Sometimes the best way to handle the infinite cosmic chaos of existence was to add more chaos, but the fun kind. As she prepared to leave for the day, one final report came through. Update from Earth. Humans have officially declared the galaxy ready for Phase 2. Details to follow. Lyra's scales shifted to excited yellow. She didn't know what Phase 2 would bring, but she knew one thing for certain: it would probably involve pizza. And somewhere in the depths of space, a delivery fleet was still trying to fulfill that 300-year-old order, because some things never change. Even if the paperwork never gets filed,